So, as I'm sitting here recording this, Resident Evil 3 Remake is going to come out in, about a day or two. And by the time this is uploaded, it might even be out, I don't know. And Capcom, I believe, looks like they've done it again. This game looks like it's going to be great. I mean, okay, I haven't played the full game yet, but I played the demo, I've seen Resistance, it all looks really good. And if it is like Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I absolutely loved, then I'm pretty sure Capcom's about to knock it out of the park again. And so this means that Resident Evil is really gonna be at one of the best spots it's ever been in, at least since the old days when they made RE2 and 3. It looks like they're really in a great spot again. And I know you're looking at the title of this video, and you're going, hold on, wait a minute, this video is about Silent Hill. Why the hell are you talking about Resident Evil? What does this have to do with that? And here's where that gets important. You see, yes, these are two different franchises, Silent Hill and Resident Evil. But if you think about it, if you look at their history, like, yes, they're not exactly related, but in a way they're kind of like cousins, sort of. Let me explain. Okay, they came out in a very similar time period. Resident Evil was first, but Silent Hill was only a couple years later. And they were both, at the time, very, very great, classic survival horror games, both by Japanese creators, and they were classics on the PS1. Now granted, Resident Evil seemed to develop and come out at a more breakneck pace, with RE2 and RE3 coming out pretty quickly, whereas, you know, with Silent Hill 2 and 3 didn't come till a few years later, but still at the end of the day, they were part of the same era. These two game series were both survival horror and on the same consoles in the same kind of era, and even though the stories they told were very different, the games played somewhat similarly. Not to say that they're exactly the same, there were quite a few differences between them, but they were very much of the same genre, and I can guarantee you, and I know from personal experience, that these two game series have a lot of fan base crossover. A lot of people that liked the OG Silent Hill games love the OG Resident Evil games, and vice versa. I should know because I'm one of them, and I know several others as well that like both series. You know, like I said, these series have a lot in common, and in a lot of ways, the series kind of played off each other and mirrored each other, even if they don't, it may not have been on purpose, but these series have a lot of kind of similar developments. What I mean is, like, take a look at the fourth installment in each game. The actual fourth numbered. I'm not talking about Code Veronica, I'm talking about Resident Evil 4 and Silent Hill 4. Both of these games were, admittedly, kind of the beginning of the end for their respective franchises. Now, I know what you're going to say. Resident Evil 4 is a great game. Don't talk smack about it. And look, I love Resident Evil 4 as well. But you have to admit, this was the start of the action horror and being a bit less survival horror. Now, Resident Evil 4, like I said, is still a great game, but Resident Evil 4 led to Resident Evil 5, which led to Resident Evil 6, which led to things like Umbrella Corps, and the point is, Resident Evil 4 is what started that downward slide of the series. And look, I'm not saying Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 are necessarily bad games, but if you look at them compared to the originals, they're very different. That's not the point, though. The point is, it changed things for the series, and Silent Hill 4 very much did the same thing for Silent Hill, except this was a little bit different. You know, the game was very different from its predecessors. Instead of kind of revolutionizing the franchise, it basically killed it. Now, I love Silent Hill 4. In fact, I made a video about it, and I think it's despite being a very painful game to play through, I do enjoy it quite a bit. But a lot of people didn't agree, and basically the original developers of the first 4 Silent Hill games, collectively referred to as Team Silent, basically got disbanded after Silent Hill 4, mostly because it didn't do very well. And so then Konami went and started passing out this franchise to whoever the hell would take it, and making worse and worse games. That's not to say, you know, I mean, Origins was decent, okay, it was decent, and that's not to say that, like, Homecoming and Downpour are, like, awful games. It's just, if you look at them compared to the original Silent Hill games, you know, much like RE5 and 6, it's, you know, it's different, to say the least. And, you know, that's what I mean, you know, the series kind of playfully mirrored each other, even if it wasn't intentional. And, you know, of course, those fourth entries in the series came out at kind of around the same time, too, sort of. And both series kind of entered a bad place for a while. But then, this is where we buck the trend, at least it looked like it at first. All of a sudden, PT shows up on PS4. And this changes everything. At least we think it does. PT is absolutely bonkers. Even just watching a video of it, it's hard for me to watch a video of it because it's so insane. And the point is, and this is just a demo, and this game is insane, right? And then, of course, we all know what happens there with Kojima, and then it gets canned, and everyone's sad, and then Konami makes Silent Hill pachinko machines, and just smokes their cigars in their offices, and that's kind of the sad ending of the story, at least so far. But, you know, then, where things get cheeky is, you know, a year or two after PT, some time has passed, all of a sudden we get demos for Resident Evil 7, and what's this? It's first person and actually scary? Ooh. Now what? Look, Capcom has said they were working on Resident Evil 7 before PT came out, and I believe them. I don't think they were just copying PT. I'm just saying it's kind of a crazy coincidence, isn't it, if you think about it? It's a little bit wacky. Not saying they're lying, just saying it's a bit crazy, isn't it? And once again, that's another way they kind of mirrored each other. Konami teases this really cool Silent Hill game. Capcom actually releases a really cool Resident Evil game, and then, you know, that's where things stop, right? Silent Hill, you know, Konami is just like, whatever, never seen again, just pachinko machines, and then that brings us to present day with Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, and now comes the point of this whole video. The point is, these two franchises, despite being not actually related, definitely have a lot of little things in common that's easy to point out, and the two series definitely have a lot of fan base crossover. So, with this being known, and here's the thing, I don't think it's a big secret, these things, either. I think both Konami and Capcom are probably well aware that these two franchises have a lot of crossover. I mean, do you think when they started marketing Resident Evil 7, I mean, they must have been targeting the PT crowd. I mean, how could they not be? I mean, look at that demo, dude. Of course they were. So, you know, I don't think these companies are unaware of each other like that. So, what I'm saying is, you know, is there hope for Silent Hill? And what I think is, it might be possible. Maybe, now this is just a theory, but what if Konami looks at Capcom and they're like, you know, our game series are kind of similar, at least they were once upon a time, and we had a lot of the same fan base. And they remade one of their classic games and made a boatload of money. Couldn't we do that too? And the answer is yes, Konami. You could do that too. Please do that too. Please? No, once again, look, this is all... I have no... Look, if you're here for, like, rumors or whatever, this is not that, okay? I don't know anything, and there are some rumors, and they might be promising, but I'm not going to repeat those here because, honestly, those are hearsay. I don't know the sources of them, and I'm not going to spur people on and give them false hope. At the end of the day, we do have to remember Konami is Konami, you know? And given their track record in the past, I don't know, 5 years or so, it's not very good. I mean, look at, once again, Silent Hills, look at Kojima, look at Metal Gear Survive, yikes, right? Like, they don't have a very good track record, and so, on one hand, it's kind of hard for me to think of Konami, at least modern Konami, as being anything other than kind of crappy. But then, at the same time, you have to remember, this is Konami. Okay, they made Silent Hill 2 happen. They made Metal Gear Solid 3 happen. You know, and so in a lot of ways, I want to have that hope. I want to hope that maybe they'll look at their, I guess you could say, other players in the horror genre. I want to say that maybe they'll look at what Capcom has done with Resident Evil and realize that they've created this basically Resident Evil renaissance. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. I mean, the series is doing great. It's awesome. Maybe they'll look at that and be like, you know what? We could do that too. Maybe we should. And I think they could, as long as they stop giving the games to random crappy developers and just making games that look like they're based on the friggin' movies. You know, I'm looking at you, Homecoming. So, I guess when it really comes down to it, I'm saying people out there, be hopeful, but temper your hope. Okay? I'm not saying for sure that Konami's going to pull through and do this. I mean, because, like I said, they are Konami, and they, like I said, recently don't have a great track record. But at the same time, you got to realize something. This is the video game industry, okay? Never say never. Anything could happen. I mean, look at Baldur's Gate 3, okay? Look. Interplay was a dumpster fire. Black Isle Studios got dissolved, scattered to the wind. I thought there would never be... I thought Baldur's Gate 2, that was it. I thought there would never be a Baldur's Gate 3. I thought there would never be a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 3. And now, look at this. Larian's making Baldur's Gate 3, and I guess Dark Alliance is getting made by somebody as well. And, okay, Baldur's Gate 3 kind of looks like it's probably just another Divinity game in Forgotten Realms clothing, but what's really wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think there is. I think it's going to be a good time. The point is, anything can happen in this industry. Nothing is ever truly dead, much like with movies nowadays. And so I'm hoping that Konami will see that there's still a lot of interest for actual survival horror games, and maybe, just maybe, they'll decide to bring the old flame back and make an actual survival horror game. I mean, they might not. Maybe they'll just keep making pachinko machines. But, who knows, man? Only the future can tell. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, of course, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll keep bringing updates.